Hello, I'm Reinhard Tockner. I'm professor for data visualization at the University of Applied Sciences in Upper Austria. And I will show you how you can rebuild Hans Rosling's whiz with current data. What I'm talking about the famous TED-Talk Hans Rosling did in 2006. You can find it on the TED.com. And he was showing us how the world has changed. And the data he used was from 2006. And the last year he had for his data was the year 2003. So we want to rebuild this whiz with current data. Let's talk about what kind of data he used in his visualization. He used the population of the country and year to create the size of the bubbles. He used the life expectancy in a country and year and put it on the y-axis. He put the fertility rate of the countries on the x-axis, and he also used the region to color the bubbles. So where we can find current data? We can find current information about the countries on many places in the internet. We can find them on data.worldbank.org. We can find them on gapminder.org or dataoecd.org. I will now show you how we can find the data from the World Bank. I open this URL. I hope it's opening. Yes, it's opening. And there we can just search for the data. We need the population. So we drive in, we put in here population. And we see here total population. And now we see the data from the World Bank showing us the population of the world. And we see all the countries. And the best thing is we can just download this information, this data. So I click here on the Excel tab to download this information. And if I open this Excel file, let's analyze this. What do we have here in the information? So Excel is starting. So we have three Excel tabs. We have one, the meter information about the indicator. There's no... Okay. We have the meta information about the countries, where we see country code. This is an abbreviation of, in this case, Aruba. And there we see the region, country code and the region. Then we have the income group, special notes, and the table name. Okay. Remember, here we have the country code and the region. And in the last tab, we have the data. Let's look at this data. We see in the first three rows, we see the data source, the last update date, it was a month ago. And then in this area, we see the country name, the country code. We always have seen this before. Here is the country code for the meta information. Then we have an indicator name, an indicator code, and then we have the number 1960. And this is the population. The number is the population of Aruba in the year 1960. This is the population of Aruba in the year 61, and so on. And if we see the last information we have is about 2019. And here we have all the countries going down. Lot of information. If you see the data, don't panic, just data. So we go back to the World Bank and we just going back here and search, we need the fertility rate. And we just do the same as we did before. We download the data. And we open this file, and you see we have the same structure in the data, the meta information about the countries, and we have the data, the fertility rate. What do we next thing we need is the worldbank.org. We need the life expectancy. We need the total life expectancy at birth. So we do the same as before. We just download this Excel file. And surprise, surprise, we have the same structure of this information from the World Bank. We have the indicator, the country information, and the data. So, in the first step, we have found our data and we have downloaded them. But before we can visualize the data, we have to clean and transform the data. What I'm talking about. If we look at the data, we see that we have here 3 rows we can't use. And then we have here this information, this table here. But this table breaks a rule we need. And this is some technical aspects here are coming in place. And I will show you. There are some rules how to store information in tables. These are the rules for the rules were invented from Edgar Cod in the 70s, and this was the rules for the databases. He called relational. The databases, the relational was so to say how to store data in tables. And there is one rule he invented, and this is the rule of the first normal form. He said that tables, the information in tables had to be stored in a table that uses the first normal form. And if we look at Informix, here is a really good explanation what first normal form means. An entity is in the first normal form if it contains no repeating groups. An entity is a table is in the first normal form if it contains no repeating groups. If we look at our information we have here the columns, the red ones. These columns are the repeating groups. So we have to transform the data that we have no repeating groups. In other words, we have to transform the data from this structure in this structure, from the horizontal layout to a vertical layout of the table. This is the step we have to do. We have to clean up the data and transform them into the first normal form. So, and there are many tools which we can use, and there I will show you this in 2 tools. One is Excel. I will use Excel for Windows, and I will use, if you use a Mac, I will use Exploratory. This is an open source software in which we can transform the data into the first normal form.